All right, so today's November 17th, right? So today's class is going to focus on artificial lights, right? And those things that deal inside the space. We already covered kind of daytime renderings, an idea of evening. And now we have to look at, when it becomes completely nighttime, how do we, light up the space? We have spotlights, lights that could be LEDs, right? And other, indirect lights. So today's class is going to focus only on that, switching between day over to a nighttime renderings, right? And making those things. Let's see here. Let me share my screen here for a second. So right now, this model here is where we left it off in the last class, right? And here we did we put we had in a way different suns, right? We had some suns were made for individual shots, right? But we define exactly all the shots, right? We're not gonna move them more. We put the chairs, and we had that kind of a nicely focused area. So at this point, once we have all our cameras set, right? And we're not gonna touch them anymore, we're now gonna focus only on lighting, right? And the lighting for the daytime was already pretty clear, already worked pretty nicely. We discussed also evening, right? So in the evening, right, what things we did to make it into an evening rendering, right? Especially making the sun much brighter, because as the sun, the angle drops, the lighting decreases, a lot. So if you want to get a nice evening sun, we have to really multiply the sun, quite a lot, maybe up to from 1 to 5 to get a nice orange glowing light, right? To make that nice glow effect of the evening, right? So that was, what we covered kind of in the last video, right? And today, we'll spend the whole class focusing on, I believe we're gonna do 3 zones of lighting that exists in this space, right? So right now I'm posting the video from last week. The one from last week was lecture number 11, right? And let's see, I believe 11, yes. And today we'll go on to the next lecture, yes. So I always post the videos, the same day, in the evening, because once the class ends, the video needs to download, and then it gets uncompressed, and then I post it afterwards, right? So if you guys don't see the video the next day, just please send me a quick email, and I'll do that, right away. Just make sure that we don't forget those things again, or that I don't forget. Did you guys get a chance to post anything on Miraboard?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so please post there whatever you can. If you haven't posted yet, take a few minutes to post. I'm just right now, I'm checking my other videos, make sure that everything's uploading correctly. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to check your Miraboard if you haven't posted anything yet, so that I don't forget anything again.
Professor,
Yes.
did you check attendance yet?
Not yet. Yeah, give me a second and I'll check it. I'm just checking
Okay,
the
no problem.
videos on my YouTube channel. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see. I think I posted the wrong video. So today is Wednesday. Yeah, give me a second, guys. We're back in 1 second. All right, I think everything's posting right now. All right, let me take attendance here just to quick. So Ariella, Imner? Masamba?
Here.
Okay. Aisha? Erica?
Here.
Otabek?
Professor, I'm here. Ariela.
Ariella? Okay, thank you. Isimanwen? Ishrat? Dominic?
Here.
Okay. Nusrat? Shaima?
Here.
Okay. Milena?
Here, Professor.
Okay. Luisa?
Here.
Jubaida?
Here, Professor.
Okay. Juan? Juan, let's say Hubert?
Here.
All right. Christopher? And Song?
I'm here.
Song, right?
Oh, yeah, Professor.
Or yeah, and what about Christopher? Okay, so did I miss anybody? No? All right, let me save this for a second. All right, so as you guys see, again, it's already the 17th, right? So, time flies pretty fast, so right now we're kind of, focusing back on the, on the renderings for nighttime, right? So if you look at let me share my screen here. Actually, you guys can see it, right? If you look at this last class, we have a bunch of suns here, right? All these suns are tied to different views, right? We have our cameras already set up where they're meant to be. We're not going to change any cameras for anything. These are all fixed cameras now. So our job now is to only focus around the rest of the space, right? In that case, switching between night and day, right? And daytime renderings are in a way are pretty simple now for you guys. We know that daytime renderings, we have pretty much the sun, right, that creates the shadows, right? And that's how we can tell it's daytime. We also have the sky dome, right, that give us the effect of the blue sky with clouds, right? And in a way, in daytime renderings, we have three different light sources, right? We have, first of all, the sun, right, that creates the shadows, right? That's our first light source. Second, we have the sky dome, right? The sky dome, although it's a material, it is a light material, so it also creates light. So this is our second light source. And then our third light source is, if you guys remember, when I insert a new sun here, right, and I put the sun, it will ask me, do I want to insert also what?
V-Ray sky.
Exactly, a V-Ray sky. So V-Ray sky is my third light source, right? That acts like an ambient light, right? So a daytime rendering will have to be these three types of light. The sun creates shadows, while the sky dome and the V-Ray sky only create ambient light, right? To give us a nice fill, right? This way we have, less shadows, and we have a nice even lit space, right? And then, when we go to an evening rendering, we can switch over the sky dome to one that looks like evening, right? And we can move the sun. If you see here, this sun here is very low to the ground, right? It's almost flat, right? So this sun, when it becomes so flat, the light becomes very, very dim, right? Almost, so if you keep the same number, so these suns have a number of 1, right? Which is the typical light source for the sun, right? Once it goes down to this, to being almost horizontal, and it's still 1, the light is so dim you can't even see it, right? So if I click on this sun here, I probably increase the light source. Let me go to a better angle because I can't select it. If you go here, right, and go to properties, I went up to 9, right? So I really had to multiply by 9 to get a much nicer light, by 9, it's gonna make the color stronger. It's gonna make it feel like a glowing light, almost like because it is like a glowing red or orange light. So it is okay to play with this light, and make it as high as possible to whatever effect you want to create, right? And then, of course, now that we're going to switch to nighttime, we'll have to make a few other things, to modify. But, before we get to that, let me look at your, I want to see your mirror boards and see, let's see, today's Wednesday. All right, so let's see here. So today is the 17th, right? So, okay, we have a little bit more work today. Let me start here. This is Ariella. Okay. Nice. So I can see here, Ariella's kind of 6 views, right? 1, 2. The one thing that stands out to me is this view over here, right? Why do you think this view stands out to me? What is one thing that we discussed last week that we can correct here?
We talked about moving the camera up, like pointing it up and then aligning the horizontal plane.
Exactly. And also, yes, but also here, you see how this line is not really straight, right? Remember that we discussed one setting that will make lines always be vertical, right? Like
Yeah.
here, right? So that setting is, if we, let's move to the side here. And that's for this camera over here, right? If I click on this camera, right? And we go to the properties, we have to go to, let's see, go down to where it says, let's see, is it lens distortion? No, it's
Professor, you are still sharing the mirror board. Oh, okay.
I am, or
Oh, you're good. You're good.
No, you're
okay.
good.
All right. So if you look at the set, so I click the camera, right? And I click here, perspective control, right? If you click here, go to the bottom here, and you want to have this thing on, right? Auto vertical tilt control, right? This is going to make lines to be always straight, right? So if I go to that camera, that was the, I'm not sure what camera, that was green wall, okay. So you see how everything is straight here. So if I go here, for example, and I decide to move this part, right, of the camera up, right? What happened? Look what happens here, right? If I move it up, all right, I went up a lot, right? But my lines are still straight, right? If I go back down again, so no matter how far you go up, or how far you distort the camera, it's gonna always keep everything that's vertical exactly 90 degrees, right? So this way looks, you see here, every vertical line is exactly 90 degrees, perfectly straight, right? So make sure you don't have to always turn it on, but if you would really want to emphasize lines that are vertical, right? And you want everything to look perfectly vertical, then you want to make sure that you select the camera, right? You go to perspective control under settings. And then under this setting, go down and click auto vertical tilt control, right? And that will, fix that setting here. But otherwise, it looks really nice, Ariella. Very nice renderings. I think try it here, right? That'll make it much nicer. You have definitely all your chairs, right? For the views, you have the trees, like an autumn setting, okay? This one, I might consider maybe having the light in a different angle just because the statue is almost invisible, right? Because it's kind of hidden with shadows, right? If you had the sun coming down, maybe you can get some shadows from the statue. That could be very interesting. What do you think, Ariella? Are you here? Ariella, are you there?
I'm here, Professor.
Okay. Did you hear my comments or?
I'm sorry, Professor. I have a background noise.
Okay, I see that. Let me fix it. Okay. All right, let me see. Yeah, I was giving some comments regarding how to fix this one here to make everything perfectly straight. So if not,
Oh yeah, that it looks like that is bending.
yes. So I gave you some settings to try to fix that. So, so you can either look at the video afterwards, but there's one setting to correct this very easily, right? So to get everything to be straight. But otherwise, looks very nice, the renderings.
Thank you, Professor.
All right, and here is Masamba. Oh, this one came out really nice. I like this one a lot. The line's perfectly straight. You have a nice sunset sky. The light is dim. The trees actually look nice because they kind of match the sunset effect, right? You get some nice shadows here. Also some beautiful shadows over here. Let's see here. Also great shot here. Definitely looks like an evening shot. Yeah, beautiful job. Very nice renderings. Also here, the glass looks really nice. You can see that it's frosted, right? Okay. That is Milena. Also, yeah, a different light source, in this case, doesn't look too bad. You have the kind of blue sky with, so it's not sunset yet, but it's almost sunset, so it's a nice mix of daytime and sunset view. This is kind of nice how you have the shadow kind of straight up, right? Almost like must be noon, so the sun is straight up, so you get a mix of kind of light and dark, half and half. In this shot, I would say this shot, be careful with these, because these are the 2D trees, right? You might want to take these trees and just rotate them so they're facing the camera. Otherwise, they look a little flat, right? What do you think, Milena?
Oh, yes, I didn't even realize that, Professor.
Very simple thing, yes. Okay, but otherwise, also, again, great job on the renderings. Yeah, beautiful job, yeah. This is pretty nice. Yeah, I like the shadow here. I like that you can actually see it here, right? A great reflection of the statue. You have the statue here, and you have a nice shadow here, also of the statue.
Thank you, Professor.
That one's great too. So the curtain looks great. Yeah, nice view. Yeah, definitely of the interior. So also has a nice reflection here of the wall. All right, beautiful. And then here is Luisa. Let's see here. Yeah, again, the curtain, some students make the curtain fold smaller, some make it bigger. Doesn't really matter too much, it's a very abstract thing. So I think the curtain always looks good, The main thing is apply the right material, and that will look, great. This one looks like a great shot also, perfectly aligned. Here, the chair, everything's straight. So also very nice job.
The only thing I saw is like, you see the top where the ceiling is at? It kind of looks like the picture is cut, like. Is this white?
Yeah, it's funny
It
because here is white, right? This part.
Yeah.
That's true, yes.
When I was aligning it, it looked like so weird. I was like, no, I don't like that. So I'm probably gonna show a little of the like sky.
That's
so
true. Yeah, do that. Yes, I think that would make it clear. Yes.
yeah.
Here, I think this is fine. Maybe in this grass here, I might just make it a little bit more dense. I
Okay.
think it will look more like here, right? Here looks very realistic, right? Because it's very dense. Here it looks like, it's it's kind of dying. So you just make it more dense and it will look much better, the grass.
Okay.
Otherwise, overall, great shots. Same here, this is kind of nice that it's a little dark because you get the sun's rays. And I think you can still go a little brighter. Whatever you have right now, I think you can probably go 3 or 4 steps higher and see what it looks like afterwards.
Yeah, I was playing with it, but it didn't seem like to like lie more than it was.
Okay.
I don't know.
Overall, again, great job with the renderings. Very impressive. All right, Hubert. Okay, nice. Yeah, beautiful job this week, guys.
It was really annoying to get the one in the top right with the
This
light.
one?
It was so annoying. It took me like 35 minutes just to angle the camera.
Yeah, this probably, yeah, but overall, I think it came out great. I think everything's aligned perfectly with the materials. The chair is nice. This part here is it's good because here you put a little shadow, right? So
Yeah, it's the roofing material.
Yes.
Like I rendered it and I didn't want to go back and re-render it. I'm gonna be honest.
no, but it's good. I think it looks good with this here because like we were seeing in the last rendering, if you leave it with nothing there, it looks kind of strange. Like it was cut, the rendering. But here it looks really nice. Also, I like how you really got really nice shadows throughout here. You have shadows here, really cool shadows here, with the branches, and same thing here, all the shadows here.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice job. Let's see here. This is Song. Okay, the one thing that Song stands out, is maybe that I might do a little different, is maybe the water, right? The water, the waves seem a little big, I think last class we did 5 for the bump and then 5 for the size of the wave, right? So maybe you can try those settings to make it a little bit more precise.
Yeah, sure.
For this rendering here, right? I think you need to step back a little more, in this rendering, the idea was to match the camera angle, right? So you need to move the camera more to the right, and you need to align this to this, right? And this, so you're gonna have to move the material left and right until everything aligns perfectly, right? And for that one, the idea was to match one of those photographs from your, it was this photo over here, right? So to get as close as possible, you see how this thing is, so pretty much this is almost a vertical line, right? Going up and down, right? Where the floor, the wall, and the roof make up, a completely straight line, And then we added a chair here. So I would say, try to look at this photograph and try to match it as close as possible to get this this shot here. This one came out really nice. I love the shadows here from the evening sun. Same thing here. This one, what is this here at an angle here? Is it part of the ceiling? So maybe this one, you turn the camera a little bit to the right. So we get this line to be kind of horizontal, right? Right now it's kind of at an angle, but that's a very minor thing to fix. And overall, so nice job, yeah. And this camera, I think this camera, I might just move it back more, right? So I can see more of the space, right? But overall, everything looks really nice. Great job, also Song. All right, so anybody else posted something? No? Okay. Yeah, guys, very nice. Again, all these blank areas, well, some students, I think, dropped the class, or they just stopped coming. So I think Aisha, haven't seen her in, I think 3 months. No, 2 months I haven't seen her. In there, also not sure what happened. So yeah, so probably soon, I'll start deleting some of these columns if the students, hasn't shown up for a while. So then we have a much more focused part here also. Let's see here. Juan has been in class most of the time. Yeah. I don't know why he's not posting anything. And then Shaima needs also to catch up. Okay, so right now, there's nothing posted here. So, okay. So Shaima, I see you posted in the chat, thank you for putting it in Dropbox, but also put it here, right? If you need a link to this, let me know, but please post everything in Dropbox and also in Miro-board, okay?
But Professor, that was the first assignment.
I'm sorry?
That was the first assignment which I put that.
From the past, you mean?
Yeah.
So you haven't gotten to this part yet?
No, I'm doing it.
All right, so you're still catching up with this, right? I guess heavily. Okay, as you catch up, just post here, okay? Because I haven't seen it work in a while. All right. Okay, so that's good. We saw, at least have the class has amazing renderings, which is really nice. So let's just keep going here, right? All right, so the first thing we're gonna do today is talk about how we transition to a night rendering, right? And kind of what things we have to do here, right? So the first thing is, what's the first thing that we have to do here? What do you guys think? To go to a night mode?
Change the background of the dome.
Okay, yes. Let me just, I'm gonna just, this thing, the surface, I'm gonna hide it because it's kind of very distracting. So, but yes, let's do that, yes. Let's go here, let's do materials, right? And let's see what we have right now. So right now we have here, we have this one, right? Which is the preview one, and then we have the light. So let's start with the preview one. I'm gonna go here and go here, and then we go to our list of stuff here. And you see we have different range, I always like to use this one here, which is the fall skies dusk, right? Because in a night rendering, you don't always have one like a black sky because, black sky doesn't show much, right? This could be a night rendering, but if you ever look at professional photography, let me see if I can find some here. Give you a sample here. So you guys can see here. 1 second. All right, so if I look at here, I typed professional photography night, architecture. So we get an idea of what thing that typically done at night. So we can see here, first of all, this is a night photograph and the sky is blue, right? Not really. So this is not really the blue sky from the daytime. When the sun sets, you get dusk, right? And dusk, typically the sky turns blue, right? It's the last blue before it turns darker, right? And if you look at a lot of the night photography, we'll use this type of sky just because it creates a very nice contrast between, maybe the glowing lights that are orange, and the blue sky, right? So if you look at almost any professional photographer, their sky is always kind of this night dusk blue sky, which is very dramatic, very nice. You can see here, and always, in contrast with the, orange lights from the space, right? So, and this is the effect that we're trying to get, right? All these things are night, photographs. The sky is very blue, right? Very dramatic. Same thing here. So here you can see that, it's always the effect that you kind of go for when you're doing like a night rendering, or in this case, a night photography. You're trying to match this effect here. So we try to match the same effect that we have here, right? Go for that dramatic contrast between, let's say, a blue and the orange of, most lights that we have in the scene, right? Same here, right? And for that, this is why I like to use this sky, right? The one that is the dusk sky, which is blue, which is like dark blue going to a lighter blue where the sun sets, right? So I'm gonna choose this one, right? Let's do unhide all, right? And if you look at it here, it's pretty much like this, right? It's kind of a nice blue sky, right? Afterwards, of course, I'm gonna change also the V-Ray light material, right? And I'm gonna change this to 100 round to get a bit more light because it's a night rendering. And we'll switch this to the same material, the dusk one. And of course, we can, add it here again, right? All right, so now we replace the sky dome, right? Let me hide it for a second. What's the next thing that we have to fix here or do? Think about that. Like I said before, we have 3 lights, right, in this scene, right, for night, for daytime renderings. We just took care of one. That was the sky dome. What's the next one?
Change the pitch of the suns.
Well, the suns, it means just turn them off, all of them, right? Because there's no sun at night. So these are already off, right? But this one is still on. So I'm just gonna select it and just simply, click here, and now it's off, right? So right now, every song that we have here is black. So that means they're off. So now we achieved the second one. What is the third one that we need to also disable? What do you guys think? I mean, that we discussed having 3 different light sources in the daytime.
I'm actually not sure.
The
Okay, so remember
V-Ray sky? The V-Ray
Yeah,
sky.
exactly. Yes, the V-Ray sky. Yes. So the V-Ray sky is found through here, right? So if we go to rendering, exposure control, right? The first tab here, we have here the background. So the background is where you put the default V-Ray sky, right? And we can see that in the environment map, there it is, default V-Ray sky. And we have the check mark here, use map, right? If I uncheck it, right, the sky is now off and the background defaults to this, to a color, in this case, black, doesn't emit any light, right? So now we truly have a scene that is completely, is completely everything off. And right now, the only light source in this scene is what? Now we have only one light.
The dome.
Exactly. So let's do a rendering here of this one here with everything off. And we get something like this, right? So the overall light of the scene is blue, right? And that's because the sky dome is creating, that blue effect, right, from the light. So this is a nice dusk scene, right? And we see, right, we have no other light source in the scene, right? So we can start now to think about how we can add lights to our space, right? Let's see here. So if we look back at this over here, right, we can start to look at, and again, we'll do 2 types. One is making lights that are more realistic, right? And other ones will be lights that are, kind of more artificial, right? Like blue lights, pink lights, things that are more for like an exhibition. But I want to start off with lights that actually mimic the actual conditions of this space, right? And the first lights that we have are these ones over here, right? right? We see that we have behind the bench, right? There's a light that is pointing to the wall. And so this is an indirect light, right? The light bounce is coming from this wall. We don't see the light bulb, we don't see the source, right? So this is considered, let's say, we'll consider this to be our zone 1 of lights, right? So it's a great light source because it reflects on the pool, right? It's a nice orange yellow looking light, right? Our second light source that we have here is this one here, which is one light that is behind this large translucent, glass wall. And this light, it is meant to change color. It could be green, white, orange, sometimes kind of pink, right? It does vary depending on the day. And the other ones are, more in that side, but those we'll look at them later. The main thing is we want to start by creating these lights over here, right? And the other ones, let's say here, there's another shot, again, this case is green, the light. On the inside, we can see that we have other lights that are here, right? There's some lights that are within the floor, and these are pointing up. There's another one here. So these will create also later today. Here we see the light source that is here. So it's a large light here, right? And this is meant to change colors, And the most typical is orange, green, and pink. Those are the ones they use the most. That's normal. So this is pink, also with the same light source. Here's with the green light source. This is a nice shot. We can see all the lights casting there. These are more for like events. This is not very typical. This is somebody that was invited. So this will look at them, in a different class, but this is something more, not really, I would say, what happens here every day. Same here, those we'll discuss. So ideally, we want to create, we'll start by making these lights here, right? The ones here. Let's move to the side, and we'll be able to see them here, right? So the first thing I want to do here is I want to set up a camera where I can see those lights, right? So let me hide some things here, and I'm going to just make a test camera, right, for my scene. And I think this camera works pretty good. So I'm going to copy this camera. Again, this would be my test. Let's put it here, and we'll call it test. And let's see what it looks like here. All right, let's see here. All right, so let me do a rendering here before we modify anything here. So this shot will show me the whole back wall with the bench, right? And we're gonna put a light source behind each of those supports of the bench here, like here, right? All right, so that rest looks pretty good, right? So I think I can cancel this for now or just put it off to the side here. So right now, there's a lot of things happening here. So I want to kind of isolate something to work a little bit easier here. Otherwise, it gets a little difficult. So I'm gonna zoom in here with this view here. And I want to select, let's see. I want to select the bench, the floor, and the wall, right? And do just isolate. So we just focusing on this thing here. And then on this view here, which is the bottom left view, I'm gonna switch it to from back. Let's try left. Yes. So put it into a left view. And that's because I can see this here. I can see the back wall, right? I can see the bench, and I can see the space behind the bench where I need to, install lights. So let's kind of get this very close, right? And from now, let's look at what light we're gonna use, right? So I'm gonna give you guys some lights today, right? These are called IES lights, and they're more professional. They make a more realistic light source, right? A second. Notes are. All right, and let's look at it here. So I'm gonna give you guys this folder called IES lights, and this folder includes 30 different lights, right? Here, the lights, and you see these lights don't take up any space. They're just 1 kilobyte. It's simply just data to tell V-Ray how to react, how bright it should be, what it should look like. And then towards the end here, there's a JPEG file that gives you a preview of what the lights look like, right? Which is this over here, right? So we can see, right? It's too far. Light 1 looks like this, has a pretty far, cone, right? With a hotspot. Other lights like 18, the cone is much smaller, right? Some are very bright at the source, right? Like this one here, but they cast almost no hotspot on the floor. Other ones like this, are very dim at the source and have a very big hotspot towards the bottom. So we can use this preview to kind of select which lights to use in our scene, right? And from this, we can start to, to choose this. So I'll give you guys this file before the class ends today. And again, in case, just please remind me if I forget. So let's add our first IES light, right? And let's see how this works, right? So it's a bunch of steps. They're not really difficult. It just has multiple steps to be able to achieve a nice light. So I'll go slow. You guys follow. Any questions, just stop me and I'll go back and do it again, right? All right, so first of all, make sure your view is kind of like this, right? So you can kind of see these three things, the floor, the bench, and the wall. Let's go up here, right, to the plus sign, and we'll switch over to the light, right? So here again, we have photometric, standard, V-Ray, Arnold. We're gonna use photometric. So click on photometric. Next, we'll use a target light. Click on that. And now this is gonna open up a bunch of different tabs, right? So let's go from the, slowly from top to bottom. Let's see here. So let's start here with general parameters, right? The light should be on, of course. Shadows have to be on, and the shadows have to be V-Ray shadows, right? If you have any other shadow, the light's not going to work. So V-Ray shadows, right? Next, under light distribution, right? We're gonna click here, and we're gonna use a photometric web light, which is your first choice. So select that. So here. So I just picked here photometric web. When you select this, it's gonna open a new tab, which is called distribution photometric web. Right now, this looks white because it's missing the data. This is where you want to insert the data from these IES lights here, right? So here where it says choose photometric file, just select it, right? Let's find our, a folder. And here, right? So let me try again. Let me look at the photograph of that space, right? If I can find it. Here. And which light do I want to use, right? The main thing that I see is if I look back at the photos of the of that space, I saw that it had a pretty big hotspot on the wall. So ideally, I don't want a light like this that has really no hotspot. I want some type of hotspot that is, and for now, I think I'll try number 29 here. It has, it's pretty bright here, has a nice big hotspot, here. So I think I'll try this one to start off. So let's try number 29. So in my folder here, right, when I selected that one, I'm gonna pick 29 here. And you see that that white square now got replaced with some data here, right? And this is what, this tells V-Ray how to create a light, where's the hotspot, the cone, all those different things. Once you select this, we go down to the next tab, which is called intensity, color, and attenuation, right? This we control those things, right? The first tab, you can select from a default setting, right? We have things that are fluorescent, halogen, HIDs. So we're doing nothing more custom, so we're not gonna use that. Next, we have a light that defined by color, right? That means I could make this light pink, I could make it green, any color I can choose from this here, right? But we go into a light that is more realistic, right? So we're gonna use a setting of Kelvin. So I'm gonna select Kelvin, right? And what does Kelvin mean?
How warm or cold the light is.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the warm. So the lower the numbers, the hotter the color is, meaning more reds. The higher, more blue or more white the light becomes, right? And if you look at a shot of this again, this light is definitely, warm, right? it's almost yellow orange, right? So let's start with the default setting here of 3,600, right? And then we can modify it afterwards. So we'll put Kelvin 3,600. And last, the intensity here, we're gonna change to LM, which is lumen. And we always start with a very high number. So we're gonna start with 150,000. That'll be our first setting for the light. Once you finish inputting this data, then now we can insert our light. So once I put this, I'm gonna move my mouse over here and I'm gonna click over here, drag it, and let's say, and let go. So that's my light. This white area is the light bulb. And of course, this yellow one is where the light is being pointed to, right? So the light now is kind of behind the bench, but again, because I'm working in this view, I can't really trust it. So I'm going to, first of all, select lights and switch to a top view. So make sure everything's in the correct place, right? And we can see that this light is kind of off to the side here. So I'm just gonna select it, move it. And this light should be right behind this, in the middle, close enough. And next I'm gonna copy it over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to make 7 copies. I'm gonna select it. There. We'll do 7 copies. And I'm gonna choose which of these options. Copy, instance of reference. What's the best choice?
Instance,
Why instance?
so you don't make your file lag.
Yes, okay, what else? Yes.
You can change all of them at once.
Exactly, that's the main thing. That imagine these lights are, let's say, zone 1, right? So when I change the color, when I change the intensity, I don't want to have to go to each one at the same time, right? I want to go just click one light, and that applies to all of them at the same time. So I'm going to do instance. I need 7 more copies, and we'll do okay. I mean, then all perfectly centered. Doesn't really matter, minor things. Not really. If you want, you can go back here and correct it. But a little bit more to the left or right, it's not really going to affect too much the light. All right, so there we have our 8 lights, right, behind the scene. These are all instant, so it means they're all controlled by one setting, right? So let's see what this looks like now, right? We have before our previous rendering here, right? I'm gonna render only half so we can compare, right? Let's do up to here. And let's see how this looks for the first time. Okay. All right, not bad, but there's still some problems here. What do you guys think is the problem here? Compared to this one here.
It's not diffused properly.
Yes. So do you see how this light here, right? It starts very bright, becomes lighter, and then it just disappears, right? The one here, it gets cut off pretty dramatically, right? So the light just stops, So what do you think is causing that effect? Any ideas? All right, let's look at it here, right? So this is the light over here, right? So when this light goes up, it's touching this corner of the bench, right? And that corner of the bench is creating this kind of flat line over here, right? Because it's making a shadow. So we're gonna have to either move this thing a little bit. It's not like that, all of them at the same time. Don't forget this. We're gonna have to move it a little bit forward here and see what happens here, right? Let's go back here. Okay, so that, by moving a little forward, it helped me to adjust the diffusion. So now the lights can just vanish into space. So actually it's not too bad now. This has a much brighter hotspot, so we could make the lights a little bit stronger, which we can do. How about the color, Again, it's very hard to get the exact color. That's pretty much, you can spend here hours and hours, but this one has, what should we add to this color here to try to get to this over here?
Make them more warm.
Warm, yes, maybe a little bit more yellow or something, right? So let's see how we can do that, right? So, okay. So let's click the light over here, right? Let's go to the properties. First thing is I'm gonna make it a little bit stronger. So let's go from 150,000. I'm gonna try 250,000. Then afterwards here, you know, let's want you guys to see what happens here. So for example, okay, let's see. All right. Right now, the Kelvin that we have here is 3,600, right? If I make it a Kelvin of 1,000, see what happens here. So you guys can see the effect here. That's going very low, right? Oops. Nope, that didn't work. All right, so that's a Kelvin of 1,000, right? 1,000 is obviously a very hot number, right? So that means it's much warmer, you know, much hotter. So it's more red, right? Which is still a pretty cool effect, you know, but not really going for, you know, what we have here. Right? So we want to get something else. If I go a little higher, the colors range, right? Let's say we go something to like 9,000, right? 9,000 is a very cold number. And the light becomes more white, right? Like this. And if you guys ever buy lights for your house, you know, or maybe your car, you see that they're always, they have a Kelvin number, right? To specify, are they warm? Are they more blue? Are they more white? So there's nothing wrong with this light. It's a nice light. It's just not the one that we're trying to match here. So in that case, you know, let's go back to, let's try 4,000. 4,000 Kelvin. That's not bad, right? Before we had 3,600. This one here is still a little bit more like orange or yellow. So the next thing we can do here to the light is try to give it a filter, right? And you see here, right? We have here where we can put the Kelvin number, right? And then we have here the filter color. Right now it's white, so it has no effect. But if I go here, I could give it a little bit of something else, right? So let's say I give it more yellow here, you know, maybe also, you know, more orange like this. So I'm giving it kind of a little bit of that color extra to the light, right? So in that case, when I go to render, we get this, right? Let's see how we compare here. So that's not really this, you know, this one is now looks to be too orange. So what we can try and do here is maybe reduce here the bar a little lower, maybe halfway, to take away some of that color, right? And again, I'm not gonna spend here, but you could be here for hours and hours. So, you know, as long as you guys know what to manipulate, you should be able to fix it, right? All right, so that looks a little bit less. And to me, I'm happy with that, right? Again, we can do it more, we can do it less, but overall, the effect is there, right? Of the light. And what do you guys think of this light? How does it look?
It's pretty similar to the one in the picture.
All right, so let's do the whole thing here at once. Now that we have a nice effect here. Okay, there we go. So again, this is that light source. The next thing we had here was the, and again, you guys are free to try other light types, right? I just tried number 29, right? And let me open this here. Come on. Like here, right? We have this here, right? This is the light that already exists. You know, this is our selection, you know, choice. And this is the one I picked. So right now for these lights, let's see, I use number 29, right? And that became the light for the ones here, right? Do you think I should try a different light that maybe better estimates this? What do you guys think? Or you think that's a good choice?
26.
26. This one here, right? All right, let's try 26, see what it looks like. All right. So again, let me clear this. All right, I move this to the side here. Let's try number 26. All right, so to change lights, right? A few things. So first of all, again, just you can, because this is and these were copied as an instance, you can choose any light, doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna pick that. under distribution, right? I'll pick here where it says 29. And then I'll pick number 26 over here, right? When you change the light source, typically the lumens gets reset, right? Always. So we have to always put it again. So let's put our last setting that was 250,000. This thing is not going to change. That's always good, but this number always gets reset whenever you switch. So don't forget to go back and change that. All right, let's try again. And I will just do half and half again so we can compare the other setting. So 26 on the left side and 29 on the right side. All right, the main difference between looks like 26 and 29, right, is 26 is a more defined light, you know. The cone is very straight, while 29, the cone is kind of has a very nice blurred edge, right? So which one do you think more closely resembles this?
I think 30.
30, okay, so let's try 30. All right, let's try it one more time. Let's see here. Let's go to here. Second, cancel this. All right, let's pick a light. Let's change here to number 30. Let's go down again to lumen and change this again. 250,000. Click on this viewport and let's try again. So now we have 30 on the left side and 29 on the right side. That looks really nice, actually. Yeah, that's actually better. If I compare it to this one has like almost like a rounded glow, right? Which I kind of see here more than over here. Also, you see how the glow here is more like a sphere, right? Like here, right? My glow here is more like an oval, right? And here, you know, we have like a white spot, which means it's overexposed. And then it gets, so this slide, I guess we could go a little brighter here. So let's see if we can make it a little brighter here. All right, let's try 350,000. I think that's looking better. All right, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, again, I could be here all day, but for now, I think I'm happy with these results. What do you guys think? Are you guys happy with number 30?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Okay, I think that works good, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It has a nice detail to the picture, right? So, yeah, so not bad. I think that's good, yes. We'll use number 30 then. Okay, afterwards, you know, you can make it brighter. You know, those things, those are minor details to adjust the light, right? And you can always go a little higher, a little lower, and you know, so on with those lights. Let's see here. Okay. So I think, you know, this is, you know, it might seem complex to add the light. You just got to go step by step, right? And know what each one of these things does, right? But besides that, you know, it should be pretty simple, right? You know, we have the Kelvin number, we have the color for the filter. If you want to make sure it's always LM for lumen, and make sure, you know, you start with 150. And when you go up, you know, go up by large increments, go up like 50,000. Don't go up like 351 because you're not going to see any difference. For this light, I went to 350,000, but other lights, you might go lower, right? And the parts down here, we can ignore for now, yes. So we're not going to go any further than that. So I think that gives a nice effect for these lights, right? And now that we have this light, you know, so these 8 lights will be our zone 1, right? Our zone 2, right, will be the lights that are in the other space, right? Those are the lights that change. Let's see. They have 3 typical colors, right? So it's the light over here, right? This one. Right, so this is just one light, right? Nothing more, right? We're gonna treat it as one light to make it more simple, right? And just to, you know, to match us, let's try to get a shot that is close to this one here, right? So we can match the photograph to this shot. Only for the testing, right? We're not gonna actually change the camera, but just I want to get, a test where I can actually compare my camera to that view, right? So I'm gonna move my test camera. Let's do an isolate. I'll go back now to cameras and this one here. And we'll try to match something like this. So it's looking pretty much straight down the walkway. Actually, I'll go a little closer because I want to see more detail for this shot here. So pretty much over here, right? And if you look up here again, if you think back to last week, right? When we added these two lights, right? These, what did you call these lights here that we added last week?
Like spotlights or something.
Exactly, they were like fill lights, right? Behind the camera. So we're gonna use the same type of light to use it for the light here. So if we see here, first of all, I'm gonna move this guy that is behind that was the 2D map of the person. I'm gonna put him here. This layer here, right, was the translucent glass. The layer on the inside was the clear glass. And that light exists right inside here, right, pointing down. So we're gonna make a similar light and we're just gonna have it pointing down in the space. So let's go back. This will be our zone 2 light, right? So let's go back to our, let's see here. Again, we're gonna make, in this case, we're gonna use a V-Ray light. So V-Ray, a V-Ray light here. And again, we can choose here plain, dome. We're gonna use a plain light. And we're just gonna draw it. So we go here and get as close as possible to the center, right? And just make a light that kind of looks like this, right? That fits inside that cavity, right? Like that. I'm gonna switch now to lights. Select this light, right? And now I just have to place it in the right location, right? So again, right now the light is over here, right? And you see that it's pointing down. So I might want to just select the ceiling, right? I want to select a couple things. The ceiling, the light, the mullions. And I think that's pretty good, right? And do isolate. Then I can switch to this view. And I can kind of move this down here. And you want this to be right below the ceiling, right? So this line here is my ceiling, right? The yellow line. So I put it kind of right here, a little bit below the ceiling, right? And then if we look at it from this view, there's a light, just kind of pointing down from the ceiling, right? In between the two different planes. And that's it for that light. The next thing is now to look at the light parameters, right? So if we go back here, let's switch back to lights and isolate. Let's look at this view because this is our main view here. I'm gonna pick the light, right? And let's try to match for now something like this, this kind of a green looking color here, right? But let's do first default settings. So if I click on this light and go to properties, right? Right now I haven't touched anything. So let's do a rendering here without modifying anything in the scene here and see what we get. Here.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
So, we have the 3D trees, right? So do we still need to keep the 2D? Because sometimes you render and you forgot to rotate them.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you should always be checking for them, right? So if you feel that you don't need them, you can take them out, for that shot, but you might need them in a different shot. So in a way, you have to always be checking when you need them or not,
So my question is, what's the difference between the 3D and the 2D? Like
the difference? I mean, the 2D trees should be used in the background and the 2D trees should be used anything near the actual camera. So this way they have more detail.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. So right now, we're kind of rendering this, again, because this is translucent, then it's a bit more time consuming to render than other things. Right now, the light is 30, so it doesn't give us much light. So Let's cancel and let's switch this light. Let's make it 300. And now let me just really focus here. Let's do just this part over here, half this. All right, so now we get much more light, right, in the scene. Let's see how long this takes. All right, so that's not bad. It's still, you see how it looks very, a lot of pixels, right? That's because, it's gonna build in the layers, right, in detail. And it takes a little bit of time to, so pretty much anything that is translucent takes a lot of time to render just because it includes refraction, right? And refraction is very time consuming for the rendering. Also right now, our settings are not the highest settings there. So if we put better settings, we get better results, right? And you see this thing's moving really, really slowly here, right? To finish, So saying it's gonna be about 10 minutes to do just this little piece here, right? Just because of the quality of the rendering. So, but for now, I think we can stop it now. We get the idea. I want to also look, but one thing that you guys can maybe look at now is if you go back to the render settings here, right? I don't think I discussed this before, but it's important. If you go on the V-Ray, right? So under image sampler, right? This controls also the quality of the rendering. Right now, we've been doing everything under progressive, right? Progressive works really, really good in a scene that has a lot of light. That means daytime with the sun and those things. Once you go to a nighttime, the light is more limited. So we have more pockets of less light, This, right now it'll work fine. It'll give you a good rendering, but if you want the best quality rendering, you would switch this to a bucket setting. Bucket setting will bump up the settings here and give you a much more refined and smoother image. It will take longer. It could take, double the time or more sometimes. But if I were to, let's do a little comparison here. If I do a small piece of rendering, let's see, here, right? Let's do a piece here. Let's do actually here. See if you can compare this to this, right? You should see that it is much smoother, right? Can you guys compare from this side, right? Also, as we go to a much higher quality image, it will get better, right? Also, things that are chrome, metallic, or like mirror will also be improved. See, this is a much smoother rendering. If I do this part over here, right, that has a lot of chrome, right? In this case, the metal frame, right? And I did the same setting, under the bucket setting, you're gonna get a better light reflection.
Just sucks it takes so long to render.
Yeah, I mean, even with a fast computer, it takes a long time to render. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna take one quick phone call. Just say that I'm teaching a class. 1 second. Okay, so you see it's a little bit smoother here with the definition here. It comes at a cost, and if you do, like if you go back here, like this is, Chrome, right? This part here, does get a little better. Let's see here. There, you see definitely much better, these are, because right now this is not the highest quality rendering. So these are just individual, pixels. As you go to a bigger rendering, then, it'll be much smoother and nicer. But for now, we'll keep it, with the other setting because, it's fairly time consuming. So I'll go back here to V-Ray, right? And then we'll switch this back to progressive, right? And okay, that's it. And Okay, so now let's look at this color. Right now it's white, right? And our rendering here is a bit more of a green zone. So let's go back to the light source. Oops. We'll select this light. All right, and we have again color. So we can do here also color, or we can do temperature, which is Kelvin, right? So if we do Kelvin, we really cannot get a green color because there's no range for that in the temperature. So in that case, for us, it's better to keep it as color and just select the color from here, right? So something that maybe, mimics something of that image. This is something like this, for example. And then let's try it again. Let's do this part. All right, we get a little bit more of that. And just like before, with the color, there's no right or wrong. Just you might have to play with the colors a bit more, darker. Right now this has a very white hotspot, right? So it could mean that my light source is too strong, right? Or that we need maybe a darker color to get the effect. So we can try both, right? So if I try to increase the green to make it a little bit more green, that would help me reduce the the light being overly white. Like this, okay, it looks a little better. Okay, so it's not bad. We have the nice green illumination on the bottom, right? This part is still kind of working out these details, which is will take some time, but we'll leave it there. This is, I don't know if let's go back a little bit here because I'm not sure if I'm happy with those settings for the glass here. This was the translucent glass. That was this one here, right? So we had it as glossiness 0.85. Refract gonna make it a little bit less, so it becomes less transparent. I'm gonna do a little part there to compare. Okay, that looks more colorized. So right now the glass was very transparent. So if I reduce the transparency, then it should absorb more color of the green, right? So we see that before it was looking very white here, right? Now we have the green color back in the glass. And actually render much quicker than before. Let's do this again. All right, so that kind of looks more like the image. I think that's good for me for now. Yeah, again, this is kind of not bad. The color, the intensity looks okay. And the main thing that if you're gonna fix your glass, the main thing that I changed here on the glass material was that let's see here, that I changed the refract. Before I had it almost white to the bottom here, right? I increased it a little higher so the glass became less transparent than before, right? If you go a little higher here, you might be able to get more green color. So just go from the bottom up, and that should fix your translucent glass. So it renders a little bit quicker, and it absorbs more the color of the glass. So this is step we can consider our, let's say step 2, right, which is our second zone of lighting, right? Regarding these first 2 steps, are there any comments or questions? Anything that's confusing for you guys?
I think everything's good.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay.
Or you guys are good, yeah? All right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the other lights that we have in our scene here. 1 second, I close my folder.
Professor, which class is it? The one that you're teaching, the one where you're doing Lumion?
That's the Arch 4709. That's running next semester on Tuesday mornings. And that one I'll be teaching in school. Let's see here. So that class will focus on Lumion and also Twinmotion, which is a program that's even better than Lumion.
Oh, Professor, I wanted to ask you, which other class do you teach? I saw that you teach like a portfolio one. I'm not really sure.
I do, yeah. So that
wanted to
class
ask
runs
you.
on Fridays. That's the Arch 3609. It's a portfolio class, So that class we learn, how to make a portfolio. We learn a lot of skills in Photoshop to improve your portfolio. We can learn also how to make a website to promote the portfolio. We do business cards, cover letters, resumes, everything that deals with promoting yourself, for a client or let's say an office.
And is that only on Fridays?
It's on Fridays afternoon, I think from 2:30. I'm sorry, no, it's running in the spring Friday from, let's see, it's 8:30 from 11:30. So 11:30 to 2 o'clock class on Fridays.
Okay, I see.
And that class will be running online.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing that I wanted to ask you. What about, because I already registered for animation too. But is that going to be in school or?
Animations on Friday, right? Yeah,
No, it's Monday, 8:30 in the morning.
Monday?
Yeah, let me check just to make sure.
I'm the only one that teaches that class, and I don't remember that class running on Monday.
Let me check my.
I was pretty sure that class was running Friday morning at 8:30. And then Tuesday morning was the
I also registered and it is on Monday, actually.
It is Monday?
Yeah,
Animation 2 is on Monday.
Animations 2.
it's 4709, isn't it?
Okay, yes. So that one, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that'll be on Mondays. And that class is in person. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only.
In person.
What's that?
In person for the next semester?
Yes, so that class will be, it varies, I have to do one class in person, the rest could be online. So that class, the 4709 will be completely in person. My other classes on Friday, which is this class on Friday morning, and then the portfolio are online completely.
Okay, I see.
Professor,
Yeah,
that
someone
portfolio,
told me that it's because you use oh my god, I forgot the name of the device, like to do.
Well, with there, we use Lumion, we use Twinmotion, right? Which is software that it's a little bit more advanced than Lumion, but it's still, they're kind of competing against each other. So they have really cool effects, so that class is focused more on that. I'm taking this class, because here we're doing just simple 2D renderings. That class will be able to explore a model almost like a game, right? We can do walkthroughs, we can do fly-throughs, and we can freely move
like
to space.
virtual reality, right?
Exactly. So that deal is more focused towards virtual reality, right? That's the main deal of that class, yes. So yeah, and that's why I chose that one to be in person, because I do have more gear in school, like headsets, and we could try some of those things in class, and you can get to experience actually, walking through your building, in those settings that, you couldn't do, through a remote class like right now.
All right.
Yeah.
You got it. That's the thing.
Okay.
Professor, for
Yes.
3609, on CUNY First, I registered for that class, but on CUNY First, it says it's Monday through Friday, for only the month of January.
Oh, no. So, okay. So then that's the, because I forget it. So yes, Professor Jill asked me if I want to teach a class in winter. So that's the winter semester, right?
No, I registered for spring 2022.
But it's saying that it's for I think that's a miss, because that class is once a week for the semester, right? If it's saying that it's for every day for only January, right? I think that's technically should be a winter class. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure because I'm looking at my spring 2022
Yeah.
registration, and I registered for that class, and that's
And
what
it's saying that it's every day
yeah, it says it's every day from Monday to Friday
for how many weeks?
just the month for just the month of January.
Exactly. So that's a winter class. Yeah. I think the school made a mistake and put it as a spring class, but that's a winter class, because if it was a spring semester, that class will run only once a week for the whole semester. If it's running every day in January, that's a winter a winter compressed class. It's like a summer class. And it, you know, if it's winter, we'll run every day, you know, for I believe for 3 weeks to
Yeah,
complete that class. Yes.
I'm just checking. Yeah, spring 2022.
Double check, you know, with Tiffany in our school, but yeah, I'm pretty sure if it runs every day, it'll be a winter class.
Mm.
And somebody did ask me if I want to teach a winter class, and I think I said yes. So maybe that's why it's showing up there. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the winter class. You know, it goes by really fast. You know, we meet every day, right? It becomes more like a seminar, and then you know you finish pretty fast, and then you know you can get more things done quicker.
Do you reckon that they'll just update it on my CUNY first, or do I actually have to contact them?
I would try to contact them because CUNY First always has a lot of, I don't know, problems, right, or errors. So I would try to contact them, or I would first start with Tiffany. You know, Tiffany in our department.
Yeah.
So she knows everything. So ask her, you know, and see if she can figure out this, because it should not be under spring 2022. That should be a winter class. Yeah.
All right, not a problem.
Okay. So you know, write to her, you know, and when you write it, can you please also copy me in the email so I know what's happening with the class?
All right.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I
Professor,
mean, CUNY First is always a little messy, yes, every year.
I don't know if it's just me, but like I think like Lumion is a lot easier than V-Ray.
It is. Oh, yeah, for sure it is. Yes, for sure. Yes. But, you know, if you compare Lumion to V-Ray, Lumion, so V-Ray works with a ray tracing engine, right? So it means that the light mimics, mimics the sun in the same way as real life, right? So, I mean, the way the light will bounce off the wall, you know, so V-Ray mimics real life conditions exactly, right? It's highly realistic. Lumion doesn't. Lumion just approximates or guesses, right? That's why Lumion is a real-time rendering engine. So the shadows look good, reflections look okay, but it doesn't really trace them. It just guesses them, and because it guesses the reflection and the shadows, it can do things much quicker. But it's not really real-time or real-life results, right? The other software that is called Twinmotion that I always do in that class,
It runs easier because it's on the Unreal Engine.
it does, yes. But right now they just released a new version, which is Twinmotion 2022.1. And that one, they introduce a ray tracing engine. So you have the choice of using ray tracing or the choice of using a real-time engine. And that ray tracing engine works in the same way as V-Ray. And, you know, I've been working with this week, you know, and the results, you know, are incredible, you know, so it's pretty much doing the work of V-Ray also. Plus it's a free software, you know, to everyone. So I think that's the main competition for 3D Max and V-Ray is Twinmotion with ray tracing engine. So again, you know, these things you guys can get them for free and experiment, and that's what I teach in my you know, my VR
Sure.
class. Yes.
Because you're also doing the same Barcelona Pavilion. I got the email from Lumion yesterday. They just added temperature control to lights for Lumion 12. So
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, Lumion 12. I mean, Lumion is always going to compete against Twinmotion, right? So as soon as Twinmotion makes an update, then they'll make an update, and it goes back and forth, right? Because they have to keep updated, because otherwise they'll be, you know, put obsolete. So in a way, it's good because that means they're always pushing Lumion to do best and to, you know, put out more things, and then it'll push Twinmotion to release more stuff, right? The good thing is that Twinmotion is completely free, while Lumion, you know, it's free for students, but not for everyone else, right? You got to pay for those things. And Twinmotion has much more, because Twinmotion is owned by Unreal Engine. And if you guys know Unreal Engine, then they're used to produce the, you know, the best quality video games. They produce also, they're used to produce virtual movie sets. So their lighting is really realistic, you know, better than Lumion, right? So, you know, I mean, they're both good, you know, and we spent a lot of time comparing Lumion and Twinmotion in that class. So, and the good thing is, you know, it's almost like playing a video game. You know, the controls are the same. It's very interactive, you know, and you get to kind of walk through your space freely, which is, you know, again, rendering like this is cool and nice, you know, but you can't just walk through. You have to wait for the results, right? And those things, you know, it's a different experience. It's more towards VR. So it's more like if you ever play like a game for like a exploring game, right? You can, you know, you can walk, you can explore, you can look at the details very nicely and freely than just waiting for renderings, you know. V-Ray is still the best of everything because V-Ray is the most realistic from any other program, right? It's just that it's a bit more time consuming to create, right? So, I still work with all three because they all have things that are better than others. So it's just, I think it's good to know all three softwares, and then you can see which ones are better for this task and other ones are better for this task, the more you know with these things.
I actually started using Twinmotion first as a renderer for my design projects.
Oh, yeah?
However, I switched to Lumion because Twinmotion, when you try to do a plan in Twinmotion, it looks like very grainy and cartoonish.
That was before, yes. Now it's changed a lot, right? If you guys know,
Did they fix it in this 2021 update?
you guys
or-
know Unreal Engine, right? I imagine you guys
Mhm.
must know, right?
Yeah.
So Unreal Engine also bought another company called Quixel. And Quixel produces the best 3D models in the industry, right? Their models, their lighting, their materials look exactly like real life, And for the new version of 2022, they made it free for us to be able to use all those Quixel models. So that just, make every model looks, highly realistic. So that was also fixed with this release here.
Professor, I don't mean to go on a tangent because I know
That's
you're
fine.
teaching
No,
the
that's fine. No
class.
problem. Yeah. that's
But
fine.
regarding Twinmotion, because Lumion has a really good asset library, but the problem is a lot of people can't run it because they need too much computing horsepower.
Yes.
Do you by any chance know, because you were just talking about Quicksilver, if you can get assets easily for the Twinmotion library? Because
It's much easier, yeah, because the one thing with Lumion here is that Lumion's assets are you can't modify them, right? So, they make their own assets, like if you pick let's say a sofa, right? If the sofa is red, then you can't change the color, so in a way, Twinmotion is almost like Twinmotion is closely resembles 3D Max more than Lumion, right? And because, their assets, are meant to be adaptable. That means that if I put, let's say, one of their sofas, I could change the material of the cushions or the sheets, or the bed, everything is meant to be, and you can also import to Twinmotion your own assets and make it part of the library. So you can grow these things more than, let's say, Lumion, right? Everything there is set. You can't really modify it.
Got you.
So yeah, so I mean, the more I use them, I personally like more Twinmotion for some things, and I like Lumion for some things. But they're both really good, and every release does get better and better.
Why do you only have one session for that other class though? Because I heard it got filled so fast. All my friends wanted to take it, and then some of them didn't get a spot.
Only I have the experience to teach a class, and I can't do it more. I can only do so much per semester.
Yeah, a lot of people, because some people who took this class before, like on past semesters, they were like,
Yeah.
oh, they wanted to take the second part now, and then
But-
it got super packed.
Typically, I teach animation class, which is this class. I teach the VR class and I teach the portfolio class. Those three classes typically are what I should be teaching every semester. But because there's been students wanting more classes, I did an extra class this semester. So I teach two of the animation class this semester. So that's 4 of them. So I've been teaching that extra. I'm not allowed to teach any more than that. Otherwise, it's just too much teaching for me.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
yeah, I mean, so this way I have to, I have a limited of, I can always do one class extra. And right now, the one that has the most demand was this one here, the animation class. The next one, the VR class, yeah, that one, once a week, for now is what we have on the schedule. It might change. I'll run it twice and maybe one of this class, but yeah, in the spring, I'm doing animation, VR, and portfolio class, those 3 for now, yes. And again, if somebody, Professor Jill, she's in charge of the schedule, if she sees that there's a lot of interest for animation class, she'll ask me if I want to teach an extra class, and I'll probably say yes, if I can help out some students. But it all depends, on the interest of the class, come, spring. And, people waiting lists, and those things happening,
Yeah.
But they tend to get filled up pretty fast, yes, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, because a lot of people had their appointments on Monday and Tuesday this week, and they already went to search, and there was no spots left.
Already?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
man.
animation, the next part of this class, yeah, we all got
Yeah.
into that class, and then my friends, some of them didn't got a spot in there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I also cannot run too many of this class because I was already told that if I run too many of my classes, they all get filled up, and then you guys won't go to a different professor to take your class. So I have to give others a chance to also teach their class.
It's also because the BArc students, we need 6 electives. So,
Okay, yes.
so that's why they're trying to take classes
Yeah.
that are like that will help us with a lot of things.
Exactly. You
That's why
can, okay. So yeah, so this is the best class for the electives, right?
yeah.
Yes. And right now, you know, if you leave school, you know, you could work in the industry. Every single company out there wants students that can do renderings, you know, VR and animation, right? And once you learn this class, you know, and the other one, then, you know, you could be working in any office very easily just by showing your portfolio of what things you can do, right?
Yes, a lot of my friends that work on firms already, they put them to do renderings already.
Yeah, I mean, I got an email this week from a student that I had last week. He said, you know, he sent me to tell him that, you know, because of my VR class, you know, he was hired at a firm, you know, doing, you know, all this advanced VR stuff. And, you know, just to thank you for the experience, because yeah, this demand, especially now that everything is virtual, right? You know, COVID has made everyone, you know, work remote, right? And virtual is the way to go, right? So if you can manage virtual technology and renderings, then, you know, a firm is going to want your experience, right, to work on, you know, on their projects, because you could be anywhere, right, remotely, and still creating these things and be able to interact with the, you know, with the client or a design team, you know, anywhere, you know, wherever you are. So it's a good experience to have, you know, as an experience, right, for this class.
Yes.
No, it's good. I'm glad you guys have interest, you know, in these things, because it is very important to. But again, you do have to practice, because, you know, if you don't practice 3D Max, you forget pretty fast, I would say.
Professor, what is the 4th class that you were teaching again? I'm sorry.
The 4th class? No, I mean, what I did once, I taught the same class twice. Right?
Oh,
like
okay.
this semester, I'm teaching this class, the one you have right now, twice a week, right? Because
Yeah.
there was a lot of interest in the class.
Okay.
So right
and
now,
then
you know,
animation 2 and the portfolio
yes,
one.
sometimes I'll teach urban design, but I've right now been focusing more on this technology classes, you know, for the meantime, because in our faculty, this is my expertise, right? And, you know, there's no one else
Yeah.
that can teach these classes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
So yeah. All right. All right, good. So we're still doing good in the class. You know, it's 4:04. So I think because the next part takes a little bit longer, so let's take a break first, and then we'll come back and talk about the next set of lights in this space, right? So it's 4:04. Let's come back around 4:14, right, from the break.
Sounds good.
That's
All right,
good.
guys. Thank you very much. All right, let's see if we can continue here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, okay, good. Let's see here. All right, let's go to the next zone of lights. You know, right now, let me go to a top view here. And we already have 2 zones, right? Our first zone is the ones over here, right? Our second zone is just this light over here. And the next zone that we're going to create is just the lights that are inside the space over here, right? And those are the lights that are on the floor, right? Pointing up, right? At the scene. So let's isolate again, just to be more precise, so we can see the floor here. So I'm going to select the, let's see here, the floor. I'll do, let's see, the structure, right? So I know what's inside and outside, you know, do the wall here, this wall here, and the orange wall, that is this one here. I think that's good enough. And we can do isolate. All right, so this is the we have here. And let's now just put some basic geometry to define where we have the lights on the floor, right? So let's see here. So here we have definitely, so first of all, I'm gonna make a cylinder shape, you know, just like a basic primitive, go to the cylinders, right? Let's make it for now here, like this. Let's give it the radius. We're gonna make it, let's see. Let's try 3 inches, which is, no, let's try 2 inches. We're gonna do 2-inch radius, which means it's no, it's too small. Let's stay with 3. So we do a 3-inch radius, which is a 6-inch diameter, right? No, that's too much. 3-inch, like that. So we do a 3-inch radius. The height doesn't really matter, you know. We'll, you know, let's make it 1 foot. So this will be used to make a subtraction, right, from the floor, right? And the main thing that I want to do now is just going to place them wherever I think there's a light, right? So we're going to put 1 over here. So we have the 1, 2, 3, and the 4th mullion there. I'm gonna copy this and put 1 in front of the wall. Always copy as instance, right? Then we're gonna copy, I know they're hard to see. Let me just change the color to something brighter. Let's make them green. All right, there we go. So again, I'll copy this one here. And actually, let's make a change here. This one should be over here by the 2nd panel of the wall there. Then we're gonna copy it again, put it in the same place, 2nd panel there. And the 4th one we'll put right against the wall. So there we have our first 4 lights there, right? Let's see, we're gonna copy this light or this sphere, right? And we're gonna put one at the beginning here, kind of right here. There's 1 light there. And then, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's nothing here. But actually, you know, sometimes we can put a few. Let's put 1 also here just to make it a bit more interesting. Let's put 1 here at this corner of the wall, right? We have those there. And we're gonna put also 1 here at the next corner of the wall. So this will be our lights that we're gonna use on the floor. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? We have 7 lights in our wall, right? And these are the ones that we're gonna use. So now that we have those shapes there, the next thing is I'm going to group them together. So let's just select all of them at the same time. Group it, right? And then let's look at them from a different point of view here. Here we go. And now, again, these shapes are there only because we're gonna use them to subtract them from the base here. So just, you know, we know it's a foot long, so put them, you know, kind of halfway into this shape, right? And the last thing we do here is we're going to select this, right? We'll go to compound objects, right? And let's try ProBoolean, right? First, let's do ProBoolean, subtract, right? And start picking, right? And now we can select this. And there we go. So now we have nice cavities, right? Throughout this, right? So that's the first step, you know, we have a cavity for the lights. What's the next thing that we need to make them look realistic, right? What needs to go inside that cavity? What do you guys think?
Professor, which cavity?
Like the ones here, right?
Oh, you mean the glass covering the bulb?
Yes, in that case, you know, in this case, you know, we're gonna make it simpler. We're gonna make a bulb, right? So, and to make a bulb, you know, what's the simplest shape we can use from the basic shapes?
You're a sphere or a circle or a cylinder.
Yeah, so let's use a sphere. I think that's better. Let's do a sphere. You know, just put a sphere kind of like that, you know, fill up, you know, most part of that. And then again, I'm gonna take the sphere, I'm gonna copy it, you know, as instance all through here, right? 1 sphere in every one of these kind of cavities. Copying as instance. And then once we have all the spheres, right, how can we make him look like a bulb? What can we use? Meaning, how can we make him look like they're glowing? What have we used already in the past that we can use it to apply to this? Which material? That's what I'm describing here.
The dome material.
Yes, which is pretty much is simply a V-Ray light material, right? So in this case, we're gonna make one of those, but this time we're not going to apply any material. It'll just be a color, right? And the color, we're gonna make it glow, right? So for now, again, let's select these 4, all of them, and then we'll again group them. All right, so there we have our 7 spheres. We'll group them together. Next, we'll check that they're actually inside the cavity, right? And we can see they are. So, and if not, you know, if they're here, it doesn't matter. Just make sure they're just below the floor, you know, like this. If this is the top of the floor, let them be like this. All right, next we have to make him, give them a material, right? So right now it's simply a sphere in there. So let's make a material in this, we'll use the same idea as the sky dome, right? Let's say I already applied this one here, so I'm not gonna use it anymore. So I'm gonna just replace it for now. And I'll get the V-Ray light material, right? I'll call this, let's call it a bulb, right? I'll put the intensity as 100. And I'll put the color, something warm. So something maybe in the orange range of this, a little bit like this. And then I'm going to apply that material to the spheres, right? Like this. In this case, I'm not putting a map. So right now the color is the main thing for this, right? And again, this material, it's not meant to really create shadows or to create a very intense light. It's just there to make the spheres appear like they're glowing, right? That's pretty much the only effect, right? Let's take this camera here. And Max, we're now thinking. Okay. Let's look at it here. And you can kind of see it over here, right? The sphere, right? So let's render this one here for a second. And again, the V-Ray light sphere is in no way meant to create a great deal of light, right? It's just meant to give the sphere the illusion that is glowing, right? And you can see kind of here. So let me just cancel this and zoom in over here. So that's all. It makes some light here, right? And it makes the sphere look like it's glowing, like a sphere. But again, it does give you a little bit of light, but nothing major, right? In no way this is going to create any shadows, right? The next thing here is we need to create a real light source to for this. So, and we can do we can use one of these lights over here, right? So I'm going to select this light. And I'm going to copy it. So I'm not going to use instance. A copy that'll break the zone, right? I'm going to put it here, right, for now. And I want to select the sphere, the floor, and the ceiling here, right? And do isolate. Then in this view, right? Here's the light. Again, this is the bulb. So, and very important is make sure this light doesn't touch anything else. If it happens to touch like this, even a tiny bit, another geometry, it turns off automatically. So make sure it's always above the shape, but don't let it interact or, intersect anything, right? Next, just make this light be higher, just kind of below the ceiling. And try to make it pointing up as much as possible. So there's one light, right? I'm gonna switch here to just lights. Select that one. And I'm gonna now just move that or copy it to each one of these things, right? So we'll start here, we'll put it here. Then we'll do shift. And now we'll do instance because now we're making a third zone of lights. And just gonna put one above each one of those spheres. And again, all these lights are pointing to the ceiling, right? So make sure they're placed in the right order. All right, so that's that. So now if we step back here, we should be able to see those lights as like this, right? They're kind of ground here, pointing up to the ceiling, right? And right now, these are also the same light as the other one, which is number 30. If you want, you could change the light to a different type. But for now, let's leave it as it is. Let's go to and isolate. Let's go to one of our previous cameras here. Let's try this one here. That's number orange wall. And see what this looks like now. Oops. All right. So the first thing obviously that we should change here is that this light we copied from before, and now it's overly orange, right? Or So the first thing I'll do here before I let this thing render finish is select one of these lights. Let's go back here to lights. Go to the properties.
Oh, Professor, why does you saw how your bottom right hand corner window it went like a wireframe for a second?
I don't know why it happens in
Is-
Mac sometimes. You know, when it's trying to refresh the viewport. It's been happening a lot. You know, so I think it always happens pretty much. That's pretty typical. It could be also that I have too many things open in my computer, and maybe I'm pushing the graphics card a little bit too much. But yes, it's perfectly normal, yes. All right, so I'm gonna just here on light, I'm gonna take away the filter, right? So let's make it back to white. And the lights here, I want it to be different. So I'm gonna put them here as 5,000. So not so orange, you know, a little bit more warmer, but not this is a bit too much, right? And let's see here. Okay, so that's a little bit, the one thing about, if you look at the lights here, is that the lights that we currently have, number 30 lights, right? They have a very strong hotspot on the top, right? So if, let me see if I can find, so if you look at a photograph of this one here, you see that even though the lights are on here, right? Or here, they don't have a very big hotspot. Oh, actually they do. This one here, you do have a pretty big one here, right? That one here, not so much. So it could be that some of them are stronger or not, but, and again, this color here, I really wouldn't trust this color. You know, it's kind of very yellow. So I think we can do our own color. This one actually doesn't look too bad. We could also decrease the intensity, because when I did a copy, again, we didn't change the intensity of those lights. So I think we can make them a little bit less bright. Right now they're 350,000. I'm gonna make it 250,000. Let's try it over here. This part, it seems to be overly bright. Okay, I mean, not too bad, but let's try a little bit less. Let's try 150,000. Again, just because it's nighttime, you don't have to make all the lights be very bright. You still want to capture that night atmosphere of the space. So sometimes they could be dimmer, the lights. Okay, overall not too bad. You know, we could probably make them a little brighter, but for now, I think that's pretty good. You guys can experiment if the light should be brighter. But we also have, this is nice because we see the green lights from the back wall, right? And we see also here. In this shot, you know, and this would be probably our last thing for today, right? So these lights here are our third zone, right? So what in this shot here is lost that we could try to bring back? What do you think is lost? We can make it better.
Professor, I'm confused. What do you mean?
So in this shot, right? You know, this view, you know, in this view, like you see back here, right? What's the big
Oh,
here?
eliminate the shadow.
Yeah, so right now the statue is kind of lost, right? So these lights are nice, but again, it is a pretty nice statue there. So, you know, so the ones here are our third zone. Our fourth zone will be just one light. It'll be a spotlight to just, you know, give focus to that statue, right? For example. And for that, we use probably a different type of light, because one that has a very strong hotspot. So it really creates, you know, a nice, you know, nice light source for the statue. So let's see if we can, let me go back to that sample thing we had. So we had these lights over here, right? So for that, I want to make it like a true spotlight node. So let's try number 8 for this one here. You guys can try if you want something else. Actually, number 6 has a bigger spotlight here. So let's do number 6 over here, right? So for here, those look pretty good, you know, right now, maybe a little brighter, but I think for now it looks pretty good, you know. In the end, maybe I'll make him 200,000. And I think that's pretty good for now. but I want to bring the statue back here. So for that, we really need only one light for that, So let's just take let's take any of these lights. Let's take this one here. Let's do shift and we'll do copy, right? To break it apart. All right, and now we have to move this here, right? So let's see what we have here. So this is the bulb, right? So this should be here. And we're gonna have this light, this spotlight will be located on the ceiling, or actually on the roof, pointing down at the statue. So let's say that we put it, let's say somewhere here, for example. And then this is being directed right at the statue like this, right? The next part here is, let's look at it from a 3D view. Right? And of course, this is wrong. This part should be up high. Somewhere here, right? It doesn't really matter. So I'm just make sure it's not touching anything. And the last thing is have this thing pointing at the statue, right? Like that. So we're just gonna make one change. I'm gonna select this and we're gonna change this. And I'm gonna put light number 6. Then again, this reset, so let's make it 200,000. The color, also let's leave it 5,000, that's fine. So let's go back to this view, right? Yeah, I think I'm pushing my graphics card. I think I have too many programs open on my side here. So let's render again, see how that looks. So this is where I'm looking here, right, for the statue. And that will, it will bring focus back to the statue, and it will also make a nice shadow, ideally, behind the statue, right? Which is, you can see that. So now, again, we gain back that focus, right, that we had there for them. So that looks pretty good, but now, let's look at it from the a different camera. The inner pool, right? This is a nice shot here. And let's render this one here. See how this looks. All right, so this is actually not bad. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So again, the statue, again, the light gives it focus, right? It makes a pretty cool shadow. And third, it highlights the water, because when this is all in shade, or dark, the water is pretty simple. Once you put a spotlight, the water acts like a mirror, it reflects it back. You get a nice reflection of the shadow, the statue, the wall here, and it makes everything appear more three-dimensional, right, in the space. These are just shadows from the columns here, right? When the light points up, it creates those shadows, which is perfectly fine. So I think that's pretty good. What do you guys think of this light source here?
I think it looks nice.
So we'll do this in 2 parts. This first round of lights are meant to capture the original state of this building, right? That is, what already exists there. The second stage of lights that we'll do in the next class are there to capture the exhibition space of the building, right? And that means using lights that were not around when this building was built, right? And those are things like LEDs, right? And a lot of these things like here, right? So, these lights were not around when this was built. This is all LEDs, right? Around here, neon lights and the vertical post, right? This is original here, but let's see here. Like this, these were now around when it was built. So the next stage of the class, which is next week, is we're gonna focus on these lights, which is more like the exhibition lights. Lights around the pool perimeter, around the roof perimeter. Those things are more like, that doesn't happen all the time. This is a pretty nice shot, like here. So we'll add those. So make it stage 1 today's original lights. Stage 2 will be artificial lights, dealing with more for like color, exhibition space, and more of a place to like entertain, right? That's why we have all those lights here for large gatherings of people. And then once we finish those things, we can start to fine tune things and see how we can start to, because, the semester is gonna finish pretty fast. So, once we have those 2 things set, we can start to fine tune our renderings and look more closely at the settings to get the best quality renderings, right? And we can probably start rendering already some stuff to get ready for the final, for the presenting all your final renderings in the last class. you guys should also, right now I use light number 6, but you're free to try whatever light you want. Experiment with different lights, experiment with different light temperatures, so you get a hang of what these lights can do, right? Also think about how the lights are used in the space, right? The lights that were outside were more orange, right? The lights that are inside are more white, just because of there's a lot of white on the inside. So if you put an orange light, then the whole ceiling reflects that color back down. So it gives you a little bit too much of an orange color in the space, right? So as you put lights, look at the light color and just think about it. Do you guys feel comfortable in that space, with that color? Does it feel unnatural? Does it feel strange? And try to use that logic to decide on the, on the light color, right? As you guys, create these things. Let's see. I think that's it for today. Yeah, I'm not going to add any more. It's already covered kind of, we did 4 different zones of lights, and the rest kind of experimenting, trying to catch up, So hopefully the next set of renderings that I see next class will be showing all these night renderings of the space. Any comments or questions?
Will you upload the lights?
Yes, let's do it right now. Okay, perfect. Yes. Before I forget, let me get those. Yes, lights, control copy. I put it here, class material. And I'll make it light in folder number 8. There we go. So there we have the 8 lights, and here's the 30 plus the this one. And I'll make sure I'll put it right now in my notes to upload this video right away today before I forget.
Thank you.
And if you don't see it, please remind me, right, by tomorrow, right? Yeah, and unless there's any other question, we can finish the class here today, and you guys can hopefully start to practice and and try to catch up. All right, no comments. No. Did I miss anybody in the attendance sheet today? So I see in the chat, Shaima said that that's a winter class, right? Shaima, are you there?
Yeah, that was the winter class.
It is a winter class, so it just right now it's shown as a spring 2022 class, right? For some reason, I think because in our school they always combine the winter and spring courses together, and they put it as one. They have no category. They have a category for summer classes, but there's nothing for winter, so they just put them together with the spring classes. Are you taking that class also?
No,
No? Okay.
I saw it. Yeah.
Anyone else taking a class here in the school?
Unfortunately, no.
All right, so just one person that was taken, or no? Or you're dropping at the class? All right, guys, just check for that. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week, right?
Professor,
Yes.
when is your office hour?
Office hours are Friday, I think from 11:30 to 1:30, 2 hours.
11:30 to 1:30. Okay.
Yes.
Can I join?
Yeah, but it's just so if you want to join, just I'm meeting somebody at 1 o'clock. Just send me an email to CityTech and say what time you want to join, and I'll be waiting at the Dropbox, at the Zoom link that
Okay. All
that's
right.
there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you're welcome. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you guys next.
Professor, have a good one. Enjoy.
You too. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.